Welcome back to another exciting episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement, where I'm not exactly sure how I managed to do it, but I got a good conversation with Sam Lenz. We talk about life, we talk about love, we talk about aliens. Stick around, we have an awesome time. All right, we're good. It's recording. I'm legally obligated to tell you that you're being recorded now.
All right, I consent to just this conversation being recorded and used on a podcast.
There you go. There you go. I basically keep it pretty loose. I like just talk and banter back and forth. I have found that we all have the exact same things in common, therefore conversation is fairly easy.
So true.
Yeah, right. I've said this to multiple people, but out of all the hobbies and like groups that I've interacted with, this is the one that I've ran into the most people that are like-minded, and we just kind of can just get along no matter what.
This is, it's the miniature painting family thing is like, it actually means something. And yeah, my favorite people in my life, I met through miniature painting, and it's such a random collection of people because there's that hidden underlying thread that carries through everything. But like, people from every walk of life get into this, and end up, hanging out with someone that looks completely different than me. Or somebody, who's like 20 years older than me, and those are my friends.
Right. Well, it's I find it to be kind of like the great equalizer. Like, I have friends who are lawyers, and I never, I grew up super poor out in the middle of nowhere in Oregon. Like, the idea of ever meeting a lawyer, it was just like way above my it never made any sense to me. And like, these are guys that like I hang out with on like a weekly basis now, and we talk shop, we talk politics, we play games, we paint minis, and it's made me broaden my friend circle, and made me, I think, a more tolerant person, because I've met some edgelords. They're here, they lurk. But I haven't met anybody that wasn't like trying to mean the best. Everybody seems to be pretty cool, even when they're a little.
There's a lot of sincerity, for sure, man.
Right.
You kind of never know what you're gonna get, but when you meet people of different varieties on an individual level, it can be a beautiful thing. It can be very informative for both of you. Yeah.
I mean, just
love the shirt, folks.
Right. Well, the echo chamber is so boring, and I like to be challenged. And I know friends that are challenging just to challenge. And while that gets a little monotonous, because you're just like, oh great, we're in this argument again. It's really nice to actually. But it's nice to know that at the end of the day, you feel the way that you feel because you have been informed, where sometimes people just feel the way they do and they haven't thought much more about it. They just kind of go with the flow. And I think that there will be some of that we'll get into here. I guess we're in it. Sam Lenz, thank you so much for joining me in the murder basement.
I gotta ask you about that, but thank you for having me. I'll let you continue.
This has been kind of my quarantine project. I was always going to start a YouTube channel, and I have this really disgusting basement, which is it's just like a stone foundation basement in a 114-year-old building. I love this place. It's where I can get all my hobbying out because it literally doesn't matter what I do. I spray paint down here. I like whatever. I don't even throw down cardboard anymore.
Yeah, you're in
Yeah.
St. Louis. There's a lot of really old architecture there, and I just took a random trip down there one time and went to like City Museum and the Sculpture Park.
Dude,
It's cool there. Yeah, the arch is closed, but
well, were they still working on it?
yeah. This would have been about 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, okay. It would have been before I was in the hobby, but if I would have known that you were here, I would have made sure that you. I am. I'm very.
It's
I'm
so
I'm
fresh, and you're like running a show. It's the industrious nature of like what's at your fingertips these days is that's cool, man. Congrats to you. It's a great time to get into it and boost the signal, do things like this. So this is going on YouTube.
Yeah, so I'm doing it on YouTube. I am playing around with the idea of making it like just a podcast, like an audio version only, because you can do that with conversations. I just I haven't wanted to throw the money down at SoundCloud because I hate it, and I don't want to go back to Podbean because I hate them. So I've got to figure out a way to do it where it financially makes sense.
Find that right platform. Well, if people can see me, then so I have an exercise bike in the back, but I'm going to turn on the lava lamp just to up the visual flair of this whole show. So here we go. 1 second. I'm wearing sweatpants too. Quarantine. But these sweatpants do have a metal band logo on them, so it's like semi-acceptable. Like, oh, you did that on purpose. Like you bought those sweatpants on purpose instead of them just occurring in your dresser. They just kind of crop up sometimes. Like,
I think you and I are about the same age. You're mid-30s, right?
84. Yeah.
Okay, I was 83. Do you remember in like all the guitar mags and the metal mags where they would have like the mail order like t-shirts and sweatshirts, and they always had like Pantera, Cowboys from Hell sweatpants? And I always was like, who buys like Cowboy from Hell sweatpants?
Dude, who buys them and then cuts them off into shorts? That's that guy's cool. He might play Warhammer, and you never know. Like, it occurred to me the other day. This is a place for random thoughts. I was like, you never know who's secretly a war gamer, just the way you never know who's actually a musician. Sometimes I look at dudes and I'm like, I would never think if that person plays guitar or if they play Warhammer, but like, we have so much more in common. Yeah. Random ass thoughts. But yeah, the Morbid Angel sweatpants and the Pantera sweatpants. I mean, what else are you going to wear with boots?
Right? So I think my history with you, besides just admiring your work online and hopping in streams from time to time, is literally, I don't think you and I have ever talked minis. I think that we have almost exclusively talked rock and roll and metal, because you were like, I was on one of your streams one day and you were arguing about Judas Priest being the best hard rock heavy metal band of all time
ever. Yeah
and I remember I sent you some like Bandcamp band. I was just like, dude, one of my friends just sent me this, and like, if he likes this, he'll love this. And I think that's literally about the only way that we've interacted. And I think that that's really funny because we're in this new era of like hero worship. Like right now, it feels like we're in a miniature renaissance as far as like the characters and the players being set up for like the next like 5 or 10 years. And I would say that you are one of those people that if you aren't on your like the trajectory for the apex, you have been like sitting on top of the mountain waiting for all the other dwarves to come and drink mead and paint minis and war.
My legacy on the miniature painting world will be a black smoking scar that will last through the eons. Yeah, I do my best. It just comes from passion, man. I love to do it, so that's how you get good, is by doing it over and over. Just ask Michael Jordan.
right? And even like the couple minutes a day is better than like once a week and stuff like that.
Yep.
So
Familiarity.
like I've heard the story of you painting, drawing little like bulked out army men or like muscle fantasy guys in like elementary school and stuff like that. When did you start at like painting minis? And then the follow-up question, when did you actually start painting minis? Because
Right. Because it's like I was allowed to have them. I got started at an early age. Like I was like maybe 8 or something when my oldest brother got into this. But I had no money. I'm an 8-year-old. I get the stuff he doesn't want, or maybe I do odd jobs and buy a model from him. He'd like bicycle like miles to the nerd shop, Starbase Alpha. But so I had my like hands on it, and then he wanted someone to play against. So he gave me a bunch of those second edition orcs and goblins. So I had 40 of one monopose model and like 80 of another monopose model. And that was the core of my army. Then maybe at Christmas I get a few blister packs here and there, but I'm still obsessed with this stuff and drawing all these characters too. All that, I like to draw a lot. And so I turn into a wargaming teenager. Dropped it for a little while through like high school, and then just randomly came back to it just because I've still been drawing and painting the whole time. I started playing Warhammer with that brother again, and then he goes to Games Day. I think he went in 2007. Said it was cool. I went in 2008. Saw what the Golden Demon was like, and just a level, and that's what made it click, where I was like, I've never tried my hardest on a model. I've always just been painting things to put them on the table. I came back to the next Golden Demon with a bunch of like models for my orc army, and I scraped away with a bronze in the unit category, and that's when I started forgetting about the time it was taking me and just tried to make something look as good as I could. And
nice.
That's what motivated, in 2009, and so it's been a while now.
Yeah, I mean, so you've been painting at the competition level for the last like 11 years then, basically. Which seems to be, I know, right?
What happened to me?
And actually, well, I was talking with Lenz about this, from Metalhead Minis, and she said that's when things really changed for her as well, was right there in 2009. And I think that's when all my friends really got, heavily into it as they were, finally out on their own, making their own money and, doing stuff like that so they could kind of get back into their hobby. And like, the session was like a great place for people to do really stupid things. I started building modular synthesizers because resistors are cheap, and I could solder all day long and listen to like heavy metal and have like DVDs playing in the background, and I did that for years.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Man, you are ready for quarantine. That's like I have all the time in the world. I can play my synthesizers. I've been building for so long. Oh, that rules, man. That's like an area that I know nothing about, the electronics realm, especially as it relates to music. And I play the drums. It's just, just wood. But I was playing guitar before you got a hold of me. I do dabble in the electric guitar and stuff. But.
Well, I think that drums are one of the instruments that like you either have rhythm or you suck at drums, and I suck at drums. I have played drums in bands before, and I have learned to keep time, but like that is a skill to be able to like ambidextrously do things with your hands and your body. It's almost like a dance. And it's I find drumming to be like super cathartic. I'm now at the point though I don't want to have a drum set, because then that just encourages all my friends to come over and play music, and I am not I don't want to have the jam house anymore. I literally have been the jam house
Yeah.
since I was like 16 years old. I don't want to do that anymore.
That's rough. Yeah, listening to people learn songs. Guys
Dude,
trying the
so
drums for the first time.
I worked at Guitar Center for 4 years, and that was one of the most humbling experiences. And not unlike the war game zone, like the people that you meet are really they are your people, regardless if you get along outside of music. They are your people.
Yep.
But that was also the time that Awaken the Fallen by Avenged Sevenfold had just come out. And so it was no longer Smoke on the Water or Black Sabbath riffs. It was Waking the Fallen over and over and over again. And if I ever hear that song again, I might just like have a Nom flashback and
Would you
freak the fuck.
rather hear the bass intro to that one Tool song that everyone knows?
Oh, Schism? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
plays bass, sits down, and plays that.
Yeah. That
Play
was
Jurassic
actually
Park. Play something with some class.
literally anything else. Like I would take like stupid Van Halen one notes, bump, running with the devil. I would do that all day long. Like, and
just make your own song.
that was,
yeah.
Right. So I find it a really interesting thing to have these hobbies that we do be as like stuff at the time in 2009. Like YouTube wasn't really a thing yet, and there wasn't a good, like, while internet existed, I don't think people really remember like how hard life was before like smartphones and stuff like that. We have been so desensitized to having information at our fingertips. 2009 was a wild time. Like I think I had just got the first or like the second iPhone at that point, and it was garbage.
Yeah, I don't even know what I think I was surprised that my camera could take a pic, or my phone could take pictures. Like I was looking at like Cool Mini or Not at that time, and looking at blogs. But yeah, YouTube was like it's funny. I didn't know what I was missing out on, but it existed. But yeah, I started way before that. Now it's people have a smorgasbord out there. I'm surprised people ask me questions, honestly. Every time I need to, all right, there's something I don't know how to do on like my car. The first thing I do is go on YouTube. I just pause and play a video of how to fix this thing. There are like multiples of how to do everything in video form, in article form, everywhere. I'm surprised people still ask me like, are you using a wet palette, when they see me on like Twitch or something. And I get the most, everyone starts somewhere, but there's so much information right at your fingertips. It's crazy. I guess I'm shaking my finger at people that don't look before, like, you gotta ask yourself the right questions before you start just asking me, like, with your questions.
I mean that comes into my conversation with like these figures, these characters. Like people are interacting with you. Like I am interacting with Sam Lenz right now, and I'm hoping that the Sam Lenz that I'm getting is the same Sam Lenz that exists for everybody else. But like you have people like Kenny, from Next Level Painting, and he is like Macho Man Randy Savage's like illegitimate love child.
Dude,
like
he sounds
and
like A's from OxyClean.
He does.
I love Kenny, by the way, and he knows this. He knows what he's like, man. He's very comfortable. Kenny, that's on this trip. Yeah.
If he wasn't that, if that wasn't a shtick, and like him not knowing it, I would be wondering if like everybody around him was like, are we like, is this? It's like, that guy in Dodgeball that dresses up like a pirate all the time, and they just accept him that he's a pirate. It's like that sort of thing.
Dude, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. and I love Kenny. I love his work, and I'm hoping to talk with him for the show here soon. But you know, he is a very very busy person trying to make as much content as possible, and I think specifically right now he has doubled down on it, which seems to be the thing that is happening. But I did want to, before we get into like the content creation stuff, like when did you start taking your miniature painting to like the level where you're getting paid to do this for people, like doing commission painting?
It was around that same time, I guess, maybe around 2010. Like I'd done things for like my brother or people I know before that. Yeah, this is so the tattoo shop I worked at, we would display local artists every month, and the town had this thing called the gallery walk, and you walk around every like first Saturday of the month. So I took November and put up some artworks and paintings and stuff, and I also put up a little shelf of models. And Adam, who is friends with the owner of the shop, he came in and saw those and was like, "Oh, you know what Warhammer is? You know, sorry." Oh, so I see you know what Warhammer is. Would you be interested in coming over to our meetings we have after the comic shop across the street closes down? So I'm flubbing on my Uncle Adam, but it's more about the hand motions. But he tells me he had these meetings across the street after the comic store closes down on Wednesdays, and they call it Tabletop Minions.
Did he point at the comic book shop and go, "Pachow"?
This is before he ever said "Pachow," dude. There was a time when Adam was neither an uncle nor said "Pachow." Yeah. Dude, I wanted to say though about you're talking about miniature painters and their different characters, but you hope that they are who they seem to be. Like it's like when you look at a pro wrestler, they look like a maniac, and you want to hope that they are a maniac. You know, it would really suck if you watch The Rock, you know, do a promo and he's like, "The town I'm in sucks really bad. All of you are stupid and I'm smart," you know, and then he gets off the stage and he's like, "Do you think I sounded a bit cheeky on that?" And he's just like a completely fake version of himself. So I try to be real sincere, just be myself. I'm kind of stuck this way. It's just how it works out. But like Adam, you know, in his videos, he's really like that in real life. Kenny, he's aware, like we're all aware of how we come off. Adam made a shirt that says "Pachow," but that came out of his mind. It's still it's him, you know. It's like him, we're not like method acting or something. And I don't know, in that realm, you know. I just had to throw that out there, to like pro wrestlers.
No,
you know,
well, I mean, I think
together and that they're really on drugs or whatever. And
well, I haven't ran into that yet, and I because I come from the music background, I don't really have that starfucker sort of like oh, this person means the most to me, and if they break my illusion, like I am ready for anybody that is in the entertainment industry to break my heart at any moment, because you know, especially when you had like you know, the Me Too thing happen, that was like, I was like, I really hope that the people that I have loved and invested all this time into, I'm not having to go back and like either justify why I still like them or having to give up the ghost on them. Like, and I feel really fortunate that most of the people that I have like followed didn't fall into any of those categories. But I had friends that it was like a depressing year for them, as they're just like, them too. And I'm like, yeah, that sucks, man. I'm really sorry about that. But
it's really hard to separate who that person actually is from, like, you know, like you ever see the documentary Some Kind of Monster about Metallica?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I don't know. Yeah. I can't watch that and think that they're cool guys, or, you know. And that's really, everybody fucking loves Metallica, but like, it's just like, man, I'm not buying it. You guys aren't like the rock band or whatever, you know, you say you are.
Well,
not
I
really my
think
fault,
that
but yeah.
I think that unfortunately for Metallica, and I'm a huge Metallica fan.
It's fine. A
In
lot
high
of people
school,
are. I just didn't get it at the
yeah,
right moment. It didn't get me
no,
like at age
it
fucking 10 or whatever. Like,
it didn't make any sense for them to do that when they did it, because now it would be like amazing, like that sort of like vulnerability. At the time, you're like one, Saint Anger sucked, and we didn't
yeah,
want to listen to them whine about Saint Anger, but like I walked away from that, like now as an adult looking at them like wrapping their head around their bullshit, like I'm like, man, I feel really bad for Lars Ulrich. He is an unlikable person, and he makes himself that. And he knows it.
yeah.
And I think he leans into that, in the same way that like The Rock will play the heel from time to time, because he knows he's going to get shit on regardless. That I felt better, like getting to know him and like understanding his responsibility, also his love for art. Like that dude had Basquiat's and stuff like that. And I don't think James Hetfield, who may be a lyrical master, is that like deep of a guy. I think he is actually pretty shallow in the way that you start talking. He talks about stuff. Like it seemed like Lars and Kirk had like tons and tons of depth, and they, like just feel bad for those.
Kirk of all. I know my role in the band. I'm hanging out at my ranch here to blow off some steam. And this is the one point when he sticks up for himself, is when they're like, we don't want any solos on this album. And he's like, that's stock. They're like, this sucks. Or it's a stock thing to do. It'd be a sign of the times.
Right.
Yeah.
Man, we need to get Kurt Hammett loves horror movies and toys. We got to get him into Warhammer so we can like hang out with Kurt Hammett, because he seems like a pretty genuine human being.
George Railroad Martin is also into miniatures, and he's got a whole collection. It'd be cool to paint something for George someday. Martin. Sorry, went to this whole thing
there
trying
we
to figure out what the RR stood for.
I was like, it's like
Ramrod Martin. But yeah, he's into models and stuff. Yeah, it'd be cool to make that connection. I should just send Kurt like a tiny little guitar that I painted. Like, here's a Noise Marine, dude. I think Metallica's just okay.
I mean, I think he would probably appreciate people not like getting all up in his ego. But like, I think that he, out of everybody, just wants to be left alone. And his part is to be rolled out. It's like Joey Belladonna from Anthrax. Like, they hid him in a closet until they needed him to go on tour again 20 years later. They're like, all right, Joey, your time has come. You're back at it.
Yeah, you're on, Vince Neil. Get him.
Get him. Go. Get him, Tiger.
Wow! The cat is off the chain, baby. Unchained.
Unchained. So, how... I'm guessing that you only paint miniatures now for a living, with the way that your content creation comes out. Unless if I don't understand other aspects of your life, would that be a fair assumption?
I just have a massive trust fund that I suck off of slowly. No, yeah, I paint miniatures as a living. I fucking wish I had a trust fund. Then I'd still paint miniatures. But yeah, it's between commissions, teaching, streaming on Twitch. I have like a big cartel page with shirts and coffee mugs and some prints for sale, also models for sale. With the coronavirus, all my classes are threatened, and I kind of have to pivot and think of something new. So I'm gonna start working on making some videos, Patreon, YouTube, both. Patreon's real hairy, man. The more I'm learning about it. So we'll see what happens. Anyways, got to pivot and think of some things new, but that's in a nutshell.
What are you finding out about Patreon that is making you leery? Because like, it seems like everybody's like, just get a Patreon. People will give you money. And I'm like, I don't know if it's that easy.
Well, for I don't know, maybe for what it's like for an audio medium, but for video, you have to pay, for the hosting and the amount of data they have to store. You got to sign up and pay Vimeo a certain amount every an annual amount, and basically it's $600 for them to at the levels that I would need it at specifically. And yeah, I'm like, I don't want to pay $600 for something that I think might work. Like I'm sure a Patreon. I have people ask if I'm doing a Patreon all the time, so I gotta figure something out. But it's too pricey. Like right now, I don't want to just burn $600.
Right.
I want to be out.
You don't have to
classes, but yeah.
So how from what I've seen, it looks like your average class price is anywhere from like $200 to $300, and you usually do like either weekend or full day classes. And and while I've heard some people say that like these prices seem really high, after seeing what goes into a couple, like even just like a 2-hour class, I'm like, that doesn't seem high at all. That seems actually very affordable.
Dude, yeah, it takes an investment to travel to the location, stock the whole class of supplies. Like you're naked in a naked room right now, and you need to fill it with everything you need. You've got to think about paper towels and power cords and just all, do I have Q-tips? Do I have extra hobby knives? Do I have extra paint for everybody? Extra of everything. And then you're there for 2 16-hour days. And what kind of price would you put on that? They charge money for weekend seminars and plenty of other situations if you're getting into, target practice or doing a weekend strength camp for a sport. I've, in the musical realm, drum clinics, you'll pay $40 to watch someone sit there and talk about what they do and play the drums for like 3 hours. They get like 20 people in there for an evening. Like these, if you think it's expensive, then you're entitled to your opinion, but like, yeah, I think it's a reasonable price.
Yeah.
Someone who's taken classes and teaches classes and has been through the ringers, like, yeah, get on that airplane and then get up the next, land, and then next at like midnight, and then wake up the next morning, teach for 8 hours, take a Lyft ride around, walk to the store, wherever, stay in an Airbnb, like all those things cost money too, guess what? Like every one of those things is just a little bite. And yeah, dude, I should probably be charging more, but it's, you want to set it at this price of, accessibility.
Oh, absolutely. And do you seem to lean towards wanting to teach beginner people more, or do you like getting like weird and granular and crunchy with people?
I would that's a good question, man. I taught through CK Studios. They helped me book a bunch of classes, and did that Monstrous Creature class, and that was a little more of an advanced thing. And I realized, because I figured I'd be adding on to their curriculum. They have a beginner's class, but not everyone that took that beginner's class signed up for that Monstrous Creature class. Some people, that was the first class they had ever taken. So I realized I need to start my own beginner class. Mm-hmm. And I parted ways with CK Studio in the most peaceful, nice way. They're super busy. I want to do X. We're friends. It's just to put that out there in the air. There's like zero, I love all of them. But it's derailed myself. But I started like setting it up all myself and all that jazz.
Yeah.
It was hard.
So because for me, I find I'm at the point now where unless if I'm getting like a classroom of like 10 people or less, where we can all sit down and we are going over glazing and color modulation in like super in-depth ways, like I find myself like moving through the classes super fast. Like I'm like, yeah, here it is, it looks good. And I kind of feel bad because there are other people around me that I want them to get like more out of the class, and I'm like trying to help the people next to me, and it feels weird because I don't want to show off or be that guy that's like annoying or derails a class for the teacher, because I know what it's like having someone like me around, and if I start getting bored, it can be really like distracting to the class. And so like I think I would do better in smaller groups where like we're all like super focused on like, today it's non-metallic metal and we're going to do this for 10 hours, and by the end you will understand how to paint non-metallic gold. That is the things where like my interest comes in. But I literally, everybody else I know, like even if they've been painting for years, they haven't even come close to pushing themselves. You know, like it is taking the group, like our hobby group, to push each other like forward, and like I want them to get more deeper into what they're doing and get more enjoyment out of it, because they all have these like really grand ideas and they just haven't put in the time and or learn the tools. So it seems like beginner intermediate courses would be probably where like the money would be at, you know, as far as like, because just so many people don't put that time in. You know, the advanced classes, while I would love it, you would have to hang out with me for 8 hours.
Yeah, that's fine. Most people consider themselves beginners. I think putting a you know, ace or pro on it is going to turn people away, because people kind of underestimate themselves, and it's always like in comparison to what. So going forward, so I did a year of teaching the beginners class, and then I was going to do an advanced class, but I was also creating a speed painting class, you know, something that's next to beginner for, you know, just the sake of variety. And I could do that class probably in a single day. Yeah, the advanced thing, some people, yeah, they get scared off of it. I like pushing people, just in this situation in miniature painting, you know, to achieve and do better than they thought that they could. And I basically kind of show them everything I had to understand to get to the level I'm at. I'm not going to sit there and show them the exact way that I paint right now. Like, yeah, just wet blend, that's easy, you know. And then, you know, it's thinking about cold and warm shadows, and then edge highlights, you know how this, you know, and then, you know, metallic metal, secondary light source, ambient, blah blah blah. I want to maintain, you know, a bit of the atmospheric tone into all of these, you know, just glaze over that. You have to show people like, what does it mean to edge highlight, to blend the various forms, contrast of, you know, textures and light and dark, and temperatures and all that. So there's a lot to lay out before I can just say like, this is how I'm doing it right now. You know, I want to take people through every step. That's, you know, to be like fully informed. Even if you're ignoring certain things, I want you to know what you're leaving out. All of these lessons are just suggestions. It's artwork, you know, so it's all flexible. But
Sure.
a lot to inform. I don't know. I really enjoy teaching. It's a cool thing to watch someone take that information, something that they didn't understand it, and then share it with someone else. So when you're saying I turn to the students next to me and want to help them, I like seeing that in class. That was like one of my favorite moments, teaching at that first CK class. Someone having a question, walking over to answer it, and another student turns around, answers it, and tells them exactly what I wanted them to know. It was a really good feeling to watch that, like, the string of learning, you know, pass from brain to brain. It's cool.
Sure. So, you mainly do Twitch, but my first real like exposure to you was through Tabletop Minions videos, and some of those things still I go back to, and I look at. There's one where you're painting a little elf and you're talking about warm shadow, cold shadow, and I will watch that video over and over just to like remind myself to think about these things, because like a lot of times I just like, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's cool, and it's that video in particular. There was something about how you took like a little 28 mil like model, and it looked like you were working on, you know, like a huge statue. The way that you focused on it and looked at where the light was going to hit, and that's something that it was the first time I had ever seen anybody really do that in a video, because they talk about these things, they say the edge highlights, they're working the airbrush. You like broke down the model into this like macro level, and it felt huge, and it felt like you had all the canvas in the world, and that was one of it was really eye-opening as far as how to perceive these models, because everything is so small, and you have to think about the way light cascades and plays on these things, and work those contrasts way harder. I think that has probably been the single most important video for me to get better at being more dramatic anyways with my painting.
Awesome.
So
I'm happy.
And I know you.
That was an older one too, so I'm glad that it still has legs.
I think that all of those videos have legs, and Adam's a great editor. You understand how to like work everything together, and I'm starting to really like trying to make my own hobby videos for people. I'm realizing that I am not having the fun that I thought I was gonna have doing those hobby videos.
It's weird. You sit down in silence. Yeah, with Adam, like it's like I'm kind of. You have another person in the room at least. He's not saying anything to me, but I know he's hearing me, and we just had a conversation before the video and all that, and like so I'm all warmed up. And yeah, it's much more clinical when you make a video with just one guy. Like, okay, make sure that you're alone and it's very cold. Now we're gonna start painting. I think I've made like 20 some videos with Adam's channel, and I'm gonna continue to make them. The last batch we recorded came out all blurry or whatever. I was not holding it at the right level, and so we did a video on the color white and the color red, and they're awesome, and it was like layering and stuff. So I'm just like, oh, and especially now, it sucks that mistakes happen though. It's it's whatever. We'll get back on the horse when we can.
Sure.
Yeah, what's up?
Is his I know that his mom got sick, and that was going to take him away from doing the YouTube channel. Has that seemed to like balance out a little bit for him, so you guys can get back into that? Because he doesn't
much better.
Doesn't seem to talk about it a lot. Okay, good. I like, again, these people, we start to realize that even though I don't know them, I know a lot about them, and I start feeling for them, and I just hope everybody and everything in everybody's lives is going smoothly, and that's a hard one,
Yeah, we're all pink on the inside. We're just big soft bags of blood waiting to pop. That's about it.
We're technically like human donuts, because there is it goes all the way through.
Yeah, it's like
soft and sweet.
Like meat on a stick or something, or we're just kind of coating.
Right.
We're all more vulnerable than we want to be. And yeah, these people are real out there, and they stub their toes and their parents get injured, and yeah, we're gonna keep on. And then some of them may get the coronavirus, but I hope not. I'll just keep speaking. I stopped myself there, but yeah,
that's a weird thing. I interviewed Nick from Min Max Minis, and her interview's going up next week, and since then she started getting sick, and she is like nervous that she's got it, and I'm like, I hope not. Like, please, I hope it's just really bad allergies right now, because we're all sucking.
Allergy season.
Yeah, it's but and it's one of those things that it's starting to land really close to me now, and I'm like, guys, we got it. We got to be good. We got to be strong. We got to take care of each other. We got to try not to spread sickness. Whatever we can do. Papa Nurgle cannot win this fight.
it's human contact spreads it, so everyone just needs to, can you just not for like a month? Can you just stop, think about more than the next 10 minutes and just
Right.
hunker down, to put it in Midwestern terms. Y'all need to hunker down. So we'll make it, but yeah, it's going to be a very hard road.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is
pre
just be prepared as you can.
Right. Well, and I think that us hobbyists are emotionally maybe a little bit more prepared than everyone else, because like we can be all right, like regardless if even the most unself-aware person is doing this. They're everybody goes into a meditative state. They're in literally every hobby group I've ever sat in. There's a point where none of us are speaking, and there's like just music playing in the background, and we're all just like getting into it. And I know that we're just vibing, and it's we're doing self work. That's like that is what meditation is, and so while I'm having a little troubles now, I had to close my business and all that stuff, and I've just been kind of like not having a routine is really rough. But like I sat up last night until like 2 a.m. airbrushing this dude, and I was like, I had a great time, and I was like, God, it's been so long since I just like put paint in the airbrush, and I just went, and
it takes your concentration, yeah, for sure. It takes a lot of focus. And a lot of time it's hard to push that all out of the way, but I like to say, if you're thinking about it, just do it. If you're thinking about painting, or that you should be doing something else healthy, like I wish I did more push-ups. If you're thinking about it right now, just go and do it, and you're gonna feel a lot better. Yeah, a lot of us are accidentally prepared for this too. As hobbyists, a lot of us already own respirators, isopropyl, indoor activities. Yeah. A lot of amusement devices for the staying inside.
I always joke that I never wanted to live through the apocalypse. And so like if like nuclear bombs coming down, I'm finding out where that bomb is hitting, and I'm going straight to it. Yeah, like, dude, I do not want to live through zombies and like the 50-year dust cloud. And when this came up, I was like, all right, how bad is this going to be? And how like am I emotionally ready for this? And and my wife and I both were like, we got this. We've got lots of stuff to watch. We've got games. She works from home, so she's still working technically. Like we were ready. Pre coronavirus though, what was your feeling about the industry? Like, it seemed like GW was on a never-ending assault towards our wallets, and sometimes that's absolutely amazing. Like those Bone Reapers, I was like, oh man, I don't need another Age of Sigmar thing. But they're so good. Like, I feel like right now, we are in this, like, I used this term several times, but it felt like the industry was really healthy pre coronavirus.
A month and a half.
The models that were, a month and a half ago, this whole thing was a totally different world, and it felt like, like I'm not a big GW gamer, but I have more models than I'd like to admit. It felt like there was a lot of room for all like the third parties and stuff like that, and I'm hoping that at the end of this we are have that same sort of momentum, because it felt unreal seeing all the new stuff come out from all the new companies and just everybody one-upping each other, and I have to imagine that like helps you out too, as like people want to do lessons or people want to do commissions with you. Did it feel like the ball was just like you didn't actually have to drive the car as much, like the ball was already rolling?
For this year, yeah. The last year I worked double hard and just took every opportunity I could to try to be everywhere at once. And this year I could kind of reap what I had sown a bit, and just setting these classes up myself, and it was going smoothly. And the it was industry just expanding, and I mean, I don't know if it's so good to be a company, but it's really great to be a customer in that current like scenario. And yeah, looking, Adepticon is like a gigantic, business reveal party for a lot of these companies. That's when they plan around dropping, like Corvus Belli put out a new Infinity rulebook at the last 2 or 3 Adepticons. Everyone's got exclusive models. Games Workshop does their preview. Creature Caster has things as well. Lots of companies. Everybody's there, and it's also like walking in that vendor hall. Just gonna remember Adepticon for a minute. So nice, dude. It's like browsing on the internet, but you can just grab everything that you want, and there's no shipping. You're just like la 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 la. Like, yeah, just
Scrooge McDuck through all the minis.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so good.
Yeah. I always do one pass and kind of see what's interesting, and then I take a second one and make all my purchases, and you get that swag bag, and everyone's just so happy. They're all there for the same reason. That common bond we were talking about earlier, like, it's so strong there. I've met so many people through that convention, and yeah, man, it just continues to be better in that way. I'm sure next year is gonna rule. So
I'm super excited. I never got to go to an Adepticon. Like I didn't play war games until about like a year and a half ago ish. I was more like the Kingdom Death stuff was kind of my shtick, and painting minis for other people. And I've since like really gotten into the war game world. And like I said, like I think that the economy of it is we're in a really good spot for like game systems. Like it just seems like if you don't like to play 40K, you don't have to play 40K. There is an answer to that. If you don't want to play Kill Team, you can play Infinity. If you don't want to, it seems to be one of those things where, when I hear all my friends who've been playing since they were kids, they're like, no, you don't understand. Like 10 years ago, it wasn't like this. Like you are reaping our we paid our dues for this, and you're getting it first roll.
Oh my
God!
I
feel a little spoiled.
There's so many games, and they're all good. They're all worth playing. They all have this depth, and that's almost the kind of the sad truth, is that you won't have time to play all these good games. But yeah, there's a lot of fun to be had out there, and
right.
So, like I said, good to be the customer. I don't know. It's tough to cut it for some of these companies, especially when you're up against Games Workshop, I guess. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, it's not like I ever walk into the store and I'm like, I can only buy Warhammer models, or I can only ever, I'm not like that boxed in, or like,
right.
I feel tied to it,
Yeah. Well, I mean, we all owe them a lot of admiration and respect. Whether or not that means that we have to play their games, I think it's a very different story. But they trailblazed, and I think that that's a really important thing to remember. That if it wasn't for the dark periods of the early '90s, you wouldn't have something like Adeptus Titanicus now, where you can get like a full-size Titan just in a smaller package. Like stuff like that is unbelievable to me.
Well, the beautiful thing about Games Workshop as well is, it's a passion project. Like the people that work there, they love miniatures and wargaming, and that's where they all have come from. And as far as a company that's going to carry on the legacy of itself and the history of like the miniatures hobby, they're the most likely. They have their own museum. They keep track of who's won Slayer Swords and Golden Demons, and are proud of that. They display that at Warhammer World and stuff. And I just think that's really cool. And in my lifetime, I've already seen companies come and go.
Sure.
And yeah, when you talk about it in the larger like worldwide sense of just like what this new relatively new thing is and where it's going and all that, Games Workshop is always going to be a very important part of it. You know,
Absolutely.
like it or not, that's the truth.
It's the truth. Well, so last year they brought you out to Warhammer World, and you did the video to do to the contrast paints and stuff like that. What was that like? Because that was the first time I had seen a company like that. Was like some straight up like legit. Like, now you've made it. If you were in this video, you have made it. Like
I know, right?
It was such a good video. And I'm like, I'm not a big fan of the contrast paints, but I at that point was just like, I love what's happening here, and I respect the hell that they got people who actually use it. Because if it was just Duncan and Peachy talking about it, we'd be like, yeah, those guys are absolutely going to talk about it this way.
Yeah.
But, you know, hearing you, and I think your exact quote was, it is another tool to use in your arsenal for painting minis. And that I thought was like one of the most fair and, you know, like excellent ways to explain what you're getting into with that. Like, can you talk about how that happened and what that was like being a part of that?
With the contrast method, like where you had maybe 2 lanes of road to travel, you now have a 3rd lane. You have another option, because I think it comes out with it has its own look. It's a heavy body wash at the core of it, and people have been dipping models, and now you have, you know, a dip you can slather onto a model, and a variety of colors. If you want to look at it that way, and I'll use it in place of washes and stuff. I've honestly found it useful. I like that people will still ask me, like, did they like tell you to say anything? They like, no, they gave me 0 instruction.
Sure.
You know, I almost would have. It was fine. I couldn't say that I wanted more, right? But yeah, so just. That was surreal, man. Of all the companies that I ever thought would get in touch with me to say, like, we like the work that you're doing. Do you want to travel here and check out a new product that we're working on and give us your feedback? Games Workshop is the very last I would expect. And they're the first that reached out to me. And being a lifelong fan, I was just like, I kept writing back to the guy from John from like the Warhammer community team, and just saying it's an honor. I'm sorry I keep like repeating that, but this is so fucking cool. Sorry for swearing. You know, like I don't know how to act, man. It was surreal, and I'd never been to England before either, and I went there, took some extra days. I taught a small class. My friend Phil Flickster on Twitch, like, let me do that at his house and stuff, and I crashed there. I had a buddy Dev drive me around. I went out there early and saw some sights and everything. I was awake for like 38 hours straight, just going. Just had to see everything.
Doing it.
Around like hour 30, I was like on my own out in London for a while too, because my buddy Devin had to go to the orthodontist appointment. He's like, all right, so I'm going to get off at this exit and just, you know, go to the Imperial War Museum, is down here, and that. I'm like, sure, okay, Santa Claus, or whatever it is. He was telling me, he's like, I'm surprised you're still standing. I'm like, I'm great. I just gotta keep talking. I won't fall asleep.
Yeah.
But there's so much history there, and just different culture, man. And then being in Nottingham, that place is so old. Walking around in these cobblestone streets and going to these, you know, bars that lead into basements with manacles on the walls, and it's all over the place, man. I had an absolute blast out there, and I got to meet people, other artists that I respect and admire. Like, I got to the hotel, and I've already met Ben Komitz and Matt Sexwich before, but they're the first people I saw upon walking in with my friend Dan gave me a ride. I have to admit, I can't leave anyone's name out. I I'm starting to sound like Grandpa Simpson. I'm just like, and then there was a clock, and I had an onion on my belt and it was a white one because of the war. But I had a fucking blast. Like I met Richard Gray and Andy Wardle, Mig Sula from like the 28 Mag community, like the Iron Sleet gang, and like Chris Bellio and a lot of people I hadn't met before, Pete the Wargamer and stuff. Like Tyler Mangle is fucking cool, man.
Are you there?
Yep.
Sorry, I disappeared for a second. My mom tried calling me, and even though I have it on Do Not Disturb, it still puts you on hold.
That's Skype, man.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right. I love my mom. She can interrupt us. So
edit just a fade out on that part. And then I was in London and I saw the big clock tower.
Warhammer being the last guest that you reaching out and working with you on stuff, who would you want to work with? Like I said, there are so many people right now and so many game systems and so many cool models. What has got your fancy right now, sir?
Fair Miniatures, get at me. Nocturna Miniatures, what's up? Black Sun Models, I'd also like to hear from you. GSC Studios, your stuff is cool. Spyro Mirabalis, I appreciate what you're doing. I know you work in limited editions. Yeah, there's so many. I'm a big fan of Creature Caster, and I already have the pleasure of they sponsor me, and I don't know, just have a good relationship with them. I want to say we're friends. We never get a chance to talk. We're gonna have lunch at Adepticon. We've messaged here and there, but it's a company I've just knowing they're a small company, and I like their art style, so I've just always kind of had an eyebrow raised in their direction. And yeah, things have just, entering the Resin Beast and all that. So I got to get to work with them in a certain capacity, and I'm happy to boost the signal for their models. Put a lot of cool sculpts and stuff. But yeah, it's hard to say because I don't want to be like a sellout or seem like I'm a corporate mouthpiece. So I don't like. I've had certain companies reach out for sponsorships, and if I don't like what they have, I don't get back to them. Unfortunately,
really,
those companies are better at the marketing than the product that they might, or at least it doesn't work for me.
Sure.
And yeah, so yeah, the realm of sponsorships, it's strange, man. It's like in the music business, And all of a sudden they're like, here, hold this can of Monster Energy for this next series of photos. It's like, well, if I drank that, then yes, I would hold on to the can. But if I don't actually use that and I think it's overpriced, like, I have a real hard time telling someone else that it's a good idea.
Sure. It's like, put on these affliction pants, man. We're putting you on TV.
Levi's, if you're listening, a Levi's sponsorship. That I'd be into that.
Dude,
denim. I could go for denim.
If there was a denim jacket sponsorship, I would sign up right now. It's like, give me black on black Converse and a nice prism blue denim jacket, and I'm like, that's all I need. That's all I need right there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Rosemary and Co. brushes, get at me. I use the Monument brushes, so I'm already kind of set in that department as well. So
that was something I was gonna ask you about, because I know that you are a vegan, correct?
A vegetarian.
Vegetarian, okay. I was and I know you are a huge proponent for using synthetic brushes, and I was wondering what if the slow fuse brushes are things that you were really into, and is the reason that you use the synthetic stuff, was that more of a morality choice, or was that I got 50 of these for $10 and I'm gonna work through this pack?
I got 50 of these for $10. Yeah, the morality, I have some I have some Kolinsky sable hair brushes. You know, I have natural hair brushes. I have like leather boots. Yeah, that's a weird fence to stand on. It's all about the circle of life, man. I'm vegetarian because I'm not into the whole factory farming gambit and all the effects of that and stuff. Which all the cliche reasons someone would choose to be vegetarian. That's what I went with. I was like, yeah, those things make sense to me.
Well, I don't think they're really cliche because there is so much like science and facts behind it, and I wish I could say I was as good at that as possible. We always try to like support our local farms and stuff like that as much as possible, but man, like I find myself like the only thing I can't get rid of is like the chicken strips, and I'm just like, God damn it! Like this is like the one thing.
Everyone's got their
keep
kryptonite.
coming back to it.
The kryptonite is chicken.
My chicken tendies.
I'm not here to judge you. That's another perception that people have. Like, find out I'm vegetarian, they think I'm trying to convert them, and that I don't like them, and that I'm all offended and shit. And it's like that's your own presuppositions, man.
You do you, right?
Guy that was a just chill.
Yeah. I mean, that I'm an atheist, and everybody thinks that because I'm an atheist, I'm gonna tell them how bad the religion is. And I'm like, nah, man. I'm really happy for you if it's good for you. Like if that makes you happy, do it. Like please, for the love of God, whatever makes you get like through this life a happier, more holistic person, I 100% support. Because
whatever guides you.
Well, and right now it feels like we're all in this weird zone of uncertainty. All I want to do is give people things that like cheer them up, make them feel good. I hope that this conversation makes people laugh and like can take that hour out of their day and makes them go, you know what, that was awesome, that was a great time. And that's something that like I really appreciate you coming, allowing me to interview you on that. And on that note,
religious questions, all you need to do is look to the stars, my friends.
There it is.
My new book,
awesome.
Communion by Whitley Strieber. It's a person's a very credible account of an abduction with hypnosis records and all that stuff. This is where you should start if you're getting into the realm of ufology, but they want nothing to do with us right now.
Are you on the MUFON? Are you deep into it?
I'm not a member of the MUFON, but I believe in aliens.
Well, yeah.
The U.S. government admitted that UFOs are real. I don't know if you want to debate the U.S. government, you can write a letter to the White House, but they said UFOs exist. We don't know what are flying them, so they are real.
So can we have like a real talk moment for a second? I'm getting really up close to the mic. Did you ever
hit me?
Did you ever in a million years guess that the guy from Blink 182 would be the person to bring forth the exposure of a government cover-up of UFOs?
The Stars Entertainment. Well, did you know that Travis Barker's dad worked for NASA, or like the U.S. military or something? He's actually probably been groomed his whole life for this. Look into it, people. Look into it, sheeple. 5G is killing America. It's gonna come for you. But yeah, I never would have believed that. But that's how this works. Hollywood and the government are much closer related than people want to think. They're influencing people's thoughts and agendas, and Hollywood tries to push theirs back onto the government with stupid fucking. I'm supposed to listen to some person whose job it is to pretend to be somebody else talk to me about I have a bunch of money because I was in a movie, and therefore I'm like morally superior to everybody else. I'm gonna sing Imagine on TikTok, a song about no people being alive, and that's gonna lift all of our spirits. I fucking hate celebrity culture. This enshrinement of fucking idiots that are just self-absorbed, and they think that they're important because because they're in a movie or they're pretending to be an angel or whatever the fuck.
Dude, and we keep on doing it, and we keep on going back to that well. Like, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I know that we all need our things to get us through our day, but like the hero worship stuff, I am like floored by. Like, just like still like really, like we're still doing this. You know, and it's like in the Oscars, you know, like, yeah, okay, Brad Pitt won like supporting actor or best actor or support whatever he won, and he had already won an Oscar for producing or something like that, and like the whole thing they were talking about, like it's changed. It's like, you know what he should have done? He should have like politely declined to be part of the Oscars. If he wants to change this, he needs to change this, and that means maybe he doesn't get that Oscar. And I get that, like, it's a huge honor, but also like you got to be the change. You can't just say that you want to be the change. You have to actually change this.
Oh yeah, Ricky Gervais like roasted all of them. It was hilarious. And he's just a kind of another one of them, but whatever. He still got him. That was hilarious.
Well, speaking of Gotham, I have listened to both of your episodes of your podcast, a review, and I have to say, it was way funnier than I was expecting it to be. Like,
oh really?
I was like,
okay.
What's happening here? And then because I listened to the second one first, and then I went back to the car one. And I was like,
because I like the car one more than the last episode was like, we talked about The Office for way too long in the middle, but that's part of what I like about podcasts is when people just sidetrack. And,
yeah.
So I told, like, before that episode, I was talking to Trevor, my co-host, I'm like, dude, just tangent, whatever. This is just find the funny. Like, we're just trying to crack each other up. So I'm glad you dug that, man. Yeah, we have more episodes coming. The one on funeral homes is amazing.
Oh, I bet. I can only imagine.
Yeah, anyone else, like, so just to sum this up, I started a podcast with my buddy called This Review in Review. We just read 1-star reviews to each other, or 3 or whatever. There are no rules, but that's the premise. We don't talk about who we are or that I'm into miniatures or anything, because I want the voices to just come as disembodied. I don't want you to have any preconceived notions. Like, I want to start an Instagram page for us, but never show our faces. It'll just be our hands in the picture, like, went to the Statue of Liberty today, was good, or, like, just joke about reviews, but yeah, you never see our faces. And we don't talk about our jobs in great detail. I'll just say, I was traveling for work. That's it. Like, trying to keep it anonymous, but no, everyone's going to listen. It's coming from the manager community, so...
I think it's really funny, and I think it actually has legs. I've always admired that you've had a sense of humor, but I'm glad that it actually like expands past like making Gotrek jokes and shit like that. Like you are.
Oh yeah.
You've got a lot going on there, and I did have a couple questions. Have you ever gotten a bad review? Like, have you ever dealt with somebody like that when you're doing miniature painting?
No. Well, there's some, yeah, like, I got a comment one time. I posted a video on my Facebook. I was like, hey, here's a new video. And someone commented, when would this ever be useful? And it was like... Maybe on the subject matter. Well, did you watch the video? Because in the video I use the technique, and that is a situation to be useful in. Stupid. When the answer is what you are commenting on right now. Very funny though. You're a silly guy. I'm sure this is like just cracking that whip. But guess what? I got a hammer, and now you're banned. I have zero tolerance for people saying anything remotely like stupid or this like lodging questions or statements as questions, like, you're going to highlight the face more? Question mark? It's like, no, this is done. Whatever you
maybe you missed the part where I painted this in an hour or something. Or yeah, I have people, you know. I think one of the earliest ones was on Cool Mini or Not. Some guy commented, you know, you greatly overestimate yourself, Sam. Blah blah blah. You know, just like all fired up because a model I had was rated at like a 9.6. And it was like, there's 300 votes on this. I don't know how I could have. I started it as an 8. People just like Space Wolves right now. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with you. Nice fake profile, by the way. You know,
Right.
So you rated 8 things. Wow, I wonder which 8 you rated. Probably my top 8.
He's
You know,
probably
people
sitting there going like, I gotta take this 20-something down a notch. Like, he's getting too big for his britches. Yeah.
Get the snipers. And just none of it matters. You know, I didn't even. Someone else showed that to me. I was like, oh, I didn't see this. Like, I barely look at the YouTube comments because I know it's just a slide into a fucking mud pit. Like,
Yeah.
I sometimes read the top ones. I'd see that people like the different metal band shirts that I wear, and that makes me smile every time. And that's why I make sure to wear cool shirts in those videos. But yeah, I get a bit of toxicity here and there, but yeah, I don't know. I'm good at just brushing it off. Like, my advice is you can't put more energy into what the troll just spent to hassle you. So usually just no response, or, you know, just a block at midnight. You know, sometimes I'll give people a chance to atone for their sins. You know, that one guy, I just responded, I was like, lame comment. And then I banned him the next day. Give him time to, you know. Or when people just demand things, like, I'm not McDonald's. You can't tell me that you need OSL tutorial with no punctuation. I had this guy write that like 3 times in a row on, like, every time I'd make a post. Need OSL tutorial. So eventually I went on Google and I typed in Sam Lenz OSL tutorial and I posted the link to that because there is one.
Right.
He has enough energy to ask, but not to look.
It's awesome. One of my favorite.
I know you can like have a nook in your mouth while you type and be laying on your belly, and you're probably like, I don't know, man, who's on the other end of that shit. Like,
well, so the funny thing was when you were going through some of the, I think it was like the really long Applebee's one, and the people were like doing like the and then 2 weeks later, you know,
15, and then I came back. The numbers start to come out, and I'm a nice person. I went across the street and had a lot of fun at a different restaurant. I told my friends about it. Yeah, that was amazing. I was like, this person's horrible.
So I had a bad review on my picture frame shop, and most of our clients either don't use the internet, or if they do, they are like really bad at it. You know, it's like they type into Google Alta Vista to get to their old Netscape, you know, browser to get to this thing, not realize, like, they just don't get it. And I love them for it. They're very sweet people. But there's this one kid. Picture framing is actually, for us, we're aging down. We're getting a lot of cool young kids in, and bringing in awesome stuff. And this dude brought in this cool soccer jersey, and he did it like right after Christmas. And literally the entire world shuts down in the picture frame world for like 2 weeks or more sometimes. I was like, this is going to take a little bit. Don't worry. And so it took a month to get him his piece because I couldn't get him his mat in time to do this jersey. And he was so cool and so nice to me. And then somebody emailed me. He's like, you have a really bad review on Yelp. No. And I looked at it, and it was the guy. And he starts out and he's like, I'm giving them a 3-star, but if I could give them a 2.5 star, I would. And it was just like, that line and that attitude came out, and as you were reading all of your interviews or the reviews, this was like popping back in my head, and I was like, oh my god, this is like literally and everywhere. And I felt like I was like, man, I totally get why they're doing this show right now. And for the way we handled him is we had his address. because we did a custom piece for him. Lots of money.
Oh, I wish I had
And
dresses.
We hand wrote him a really nice letter that was just basically like saying, hey, you were totally right on these things, and we're very sorry that you felt that this was wrong, but also we have your address, and we hand wrote you a letter to show that you were being totally unreasonable.
Yeah.
And it was one of those moments where I felt like I got a victory on the trolls, and thank you for bringing that back, because I'd forgotten about it until I was listening to your podcast. I was like, God damn, this is great. This is great.
Yeah, send it in. We'll roast him for you. Yeah, I just want to just fucking point the finger back at people. Review not lest he be reviewed, man. Like, you're insulting a mirror right now, and this mirror weighs 240 pounds and lifts weights every day. Yeah, I love it. Just sticking it to people for being assholes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trevor read me this review one day of a pizza place. I forgot how it even came up, and we were just ripping on the guy and laughing about it, and I was like, this would be a good podcast. And then yeah, we set to it and released it on April Fool's. Just coincidentally when we did the hard launch. I think it was up, but we notified everyone it was out on April Fool's.
Yeah, I think I was a little nervous because you were like, this has nothing to do with minis, and I was like, oh god, what's he doing? Is it gonna be like I can't feel something heavy right now?
Killing America.
Yeah.
Wake up, sheeple. They're putting fluids in the water, turning the frogs gay.
Well, Alex Jones, if perchance no one gets that reference, it's not my thoughts. I'm an actor.
It's so funny. Man, Sam, I really appreciate you sitting down and talking with me. We've been going on for a while here, so I should probably let you get on with the rest of your night.
Chat, dude. If you want to talk again sometime, we're gonna be quarantined down the line, so I have fun anytime, dude. It's cool.
Awesome. Well, I think next time we need to start talking about favorite metal albums to paint to. Have you perchance found the artist Igor with 3 R's?
Oh my god, that industrial black metal kind of project.
Yeah,
right?
it's like trip hop grindcore polka with an opera singer.
So European, dude. Yeah.
Their new
fans
album
always break into those folky parts all of a sudden. Or that oops, they do the disco beat.
I'm telling you right now, man, that new album is my go-to painting album. I have put it's just on repeat now, and I'll send you the link just so you have a reminder to check it out, because it's one of those that you're just every 5 seconds you're like, what is happening right now?
It's so jarring. Yeah, I remember when I accidentally happened on that band somehow and forced everyone to endure it. I was like, what's going on? Yeah, that's fucking wild. I've been listening to a lot of dungeon synth lately. All the medievally tinged stuff. Just throw that out there. Because hopefully someone out there is listening, and all dungeon synth is just soundtracks to medieval movies that don't exist yet. It's just soundtrack to your D&D campaign that actually has some thought to the melody, and it's not just this randomly generated stuff. There's some feeling in there. I love it.
Man, if I gotta listen to another soundtrack like that where it's just white noise for an hour, I don't know. I can't handle that. But yeah, I can't do the last 3 Burzum albums either though. It's gotta not be garbage.
Right. I like the stuff that's just on the edge of the trash.
Right.
Brutal. I like scummy recordings. I don't like the polished stuff, but as long as things are semi-separate.
Yeah.
Listen to Pissgrave or something. It's just balls of distortion, but it works.
but it works. Yeah, I've got a couple good like alien like synth stuff that I like listening to. That have you ever heard of Alessandro Cortini?
No.
No, he's the keyboardist or the synthesist for Nine Inch Nails now.
Okay.
His solo stuff is unbelievable. It is like going to another planet, and I'm just like, how, this is amazing. And that's another good one to paint too, where you're just like zoned to it, and you're like, oh shit, 4 hours just went by.
Yeah, I'm still painting one Space Marine.
What? I hate edge highlighting.
I know, dude. Just riding the line. Yeah, dude. It's always good to chat,
man.
With,
yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate this, man.
For sure, dude. Looking forward. Let me know when it comes out, and I'll post it up and make sure people find it. So.
Absolutely. Well, it'll be a couple weeks. I've got a couple in the can that I'm going to try to get out.
That's perfect, dude. I get that way.
Yeah, I mean, I figure this YouTube thing is going to probably more be these things, because it just takes so long to edit like actual hobby videos. I would rather do this, give people fun stuff that they can have on while they're painting, while they're doing whatever, and get to know like you more, and make us more three-dimensional figures instead of people who need OSL tutorials right now. You know,
dude, that's
like
what people want more of is this kind of thing. There's plenty of like instructional videos out there, but yeah, people want more of just motivational words in their ear that relate to the activity that they're performing.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Sam, again, thank you so much, man. I'll let you get on with the rest of your night, and I'll hit you up online.
Alrighty, dude.
Where should people find you if they want work done and classes and things like that? Do you have a place that you like to?
Samson Osmus on Instagram. You can just look for Sam Lenz. Sam Lenz Artwork on Facebook. Samson Arts on Twitch. samsonminis.blogspot.com. It's kind of abandoned, but there is 7 years of posts in there. I don't know about brand consolidation, so everything's got a different name, but I'm Sam Lenz, and I'm the real Sam Lenz, and when you Google me, I'm who shows up, so...
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, man. I'll talk to you later.
Alrighty, dude. Take care.
All right. See you, bud.
Yep.
Thank you for watching another episode of Hobby Time in the Murder Basement. I so appreciate your support. If you could go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, leave a comment, literally do anything that you can to help get this channel a little bit more traction. I'd really, really appreciate it. I hate when channels ask every single episode for this. It becomes mundane and monotonous. So I figured I'd just record one of these. That way you only have to hear me do this once, just at the end of every one of my videos. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next video.